Not sure who we have in the audience, but hey guys, Mukul Parkhe. I was at Mississippi State University, graduated in 2019 from my Industrial and Systems Engineering department with a Master's of Science. Uh, I've been well. Okay, we'll talk about me in the next slide. So moving on to the next. Okay, there we go. So let's go. And let me add a pointer here as well. Okay, all right, all good. So today's agenda, this is what I had in mind, just to go over, and this is like by no means is going to be, an in-depth discussion around any of the topic, but because supply chain is so vast that it is a major on its own, right? Especially there are certain sections that you can just do a major in. Uh, so we'll just go over the overview of supply chain, what it is, and how it relates with industrial engineering. What do we do there, and what are the things that we should be learning while we're in school or as soon as we get, in the professional market, uh, to get more familiar with these things, and how do we grow in supply chain because it's everywhere, right? Uh, so let's go over this. So this is me. I've been with the Kroger company for a while, and then moved to DHL Supply Chain in 2021. Recently been nominated as emerging leader via CSCMB, which is a supply chain organization. Uh, I like to travel and take as many pictures as possible. Education I see from Mississippi State. If you want to connect, here's my QR. Okay, let's talk about supply chain in a snapshot, what it is. So first, let's see, what we know about it today. What are the things that are missing in this picture? I can't hear you, but just think of the things or the nodes that are missing in between, from the production all the way to end user. There are several things, right? So let's see what those things are. This is from McKinsey and Company. This is what they say, like, just certain section of supply chain is. Uh, of course, it's much bigger than this, but this is a good representation of what it is today. So I've got a shipper, and then first mile happens. After that, there's a port, then again customs, again port, and then again customs, again port. So this is just a repetition of, like, similar process. But after that also, we'll see what are other sections that are not included here. And then eventually inland transportation, it goes to a warehouse, and then you can see the level of automation that's available today in the buildings. This is from 2019, so things have changed a little bit, not drastic. So this is where the high level of automation happens in warehouse, right here, fulfillment centers, or there are several names to that now. Uh, and this is where I reside as well, supply chain warehousing for DHL supply chain. All right. So there are certain main pillars of supply chain, right? So let's go over them. These are all the pillars that I'm familiar with. There could be some other things as well, but these encapsulate majority of the supply chain. Uh, let's go over each of them one by one. Planning. So as we know, is done for the rest of the pillars. Here you would look at your demand forecasting, your production schedules, and then sort of allocating budgets. So everything here in the planning phase. And then sourcing would be just looking at the available suppliers in the market, right? And then analyzing who do you want to do business with. So that is sourcing, and then keeping a catalog of that, a catalog of all the items that they offer to us as in the company here, uh, at discounted rates or whatnot. And then procurement is the piece where you actually go and procure those items from the supplier, from the selected suppliers that are available through sourcing. So that's why you would see sourcing and procurement thrown at you at the same time, because they go hand in hand. So this is where procurement wise you will build and maintain your supplier relationship, because the way you behave your suppliers, that is going to impact your sourcing strategy as well. So they are interconnected a lot. Next is production, which is actually producing something. So right here, your assembly lines, your whatever is happening within the four walls of production house. You'll have your quality control, testings, uh, then process optimization. So these are all the areas where we would be making impact in eventually when we go into any of the industries. After that, inventory management, because that's the heart of the business. That's what the entire business is doing, just producing the inventory, right? Because this is the one that is making money essentially. So you need to manage that effectively. You need to know how much to produce, how much to keep in buffer stock, and based upon seasonality and whatnot. So there are several things that you would look at here. There are several. I think it's called EOQ. I don't do this, but people at the production plan, they would develop their production plans, right? So inventory management would play a big factor in that as well. Warehousing and distribution, this is where I'm at. So this is where, once the inventory is produced, inventory management is also happening in warehousing and distribution. This is where, you would have several softwares, for example, WMS, LMS, and whatnot. We'll go over them as well. Uh, and then through that, you would manage the inventory as well as you would serve the customer. The customer in this case being the next step, in the overall chain here. Everybody is a customer and a producer, right? So logistics next. Logistics is essentially, looking at things from the warehousing and then delivering that to B2B or B2C. B2B meaning business to business. So from, let's say, DHL supply chain, a trailer is leaving to Walmart, right? Uh, and then the same thing could happen, but in a different fashion. It's going directly to the customer. So B2B and B2C. So logistic looks at the available route, how to optimize that, and how to use the available space, which is your trailer, in a more cost-effective manner, yet delivering better results every day. So this is where you'd build your optimization models and everything that we do in classes, right? So optimization. Information systems is IT stuff, all of that. Let it be from hardware to software, everything is included in this one. It's a very big piece now. Supply chain analytics is booming. Uh, so if you're familiar with you know programming languages and whatnot, so there are several companies that have specialized departments just for data science and stuff like that. So this could be a good opportunity as well. Demand management is what we saw in the very first node, right? Planning phase. So you need to know how much to produce, right? Before you go on and invest everything there. How much to retain and how much to overproduce. That is also a buffer stock. That's what we call it, right? So this plays a good role in that overall supply chain as well. Moving on to the next, customer service. Everybody, like I said, everybody is a customer and a supplier in the supply chain. So this and like several other pillars of supply chain are also, those are not vertical pillars, rather they are horizontal. They impact every other level within the supply chain. So everybody needs to provide a good customer experience, a good customer service if you want to do business again with them, right? So that's the overall idea with this. Um, Risk management. So we need to know when or what is going to happen, right? I know natural disasters, it's very difficult to predict them, but at the same time, you need to at least have some sort of contingency plan. And this is not essentially like, we in our initial phases would do, but we would support the development of risk management plans, contingency plans, with our, superiors. So for example, directors, senior directors, VPs. So we'll help them build this as well as deploy that eventually if possible or if necessary. Next one is sustainability and ethics. So that's where, you talk about all of your carbon emissions, reduction on that, uh, and then being fair to your suppliers as well as your customers. So all of that comes into this. And how do you, like, evolve as a supply chain along with being ethical. All right. So performance measurement, right? So like I said, some of the KPI, some of the pillars are not like horizontal pillars, rather uh, they're not vertical pillars, they're horizontal ones. Uh, this one is one of them. KPIs. At every single level, you'll have, your own KPIs. It could be contractual KPIs with your subsequent step in the supply chain, or it could be internal KPIs, or it could be, your operational KPIs. So there are several different interpretation of this, but tracking, working with IT hand in hand, uh, helps you calibrate your business, see which direction you're going in, and in some cases you can predict some of the things as well. So this is where, it's helpful. And then you'd always be working with other people in the supply chain. It could be within the organization or outside. Uh, you are in constant touch with your client, your customer, or you know, with the procurement team. So you would be working with other folks as well, and that's where, the customer experience would come in place as well, right? Uh, Moving on to the last pillar, continuous improvement. Uh, it needs to be at all the levels of supply chain, right? Uh, if it's not improving, then something is off, right? So along with data and looking at all the processes and everything, you are able to look at, like, what are the areas that you can impact? What are the areas you can save some dollars in or improve the process in general? Like, it may not save something, but it could standardize things, which makes things easier for future in the longer term. All right. So moving on to industrial and systems engineering and supply chain. Uh, what are the benefits, like some of the benefits that you can think of? Just just think of them, right? Uh, the first thing that comes to mind is cost savings. Okay, that is right there, cost savings. Uh, we want to optimize process. We want to optimize the travel distance within or outside the warehouse, uh, and we want to save as much money as possible, right? Uh, so that's the benefit of having industrial engineers in supply chain. We improve efficiency. It may not save you some money, but overall, on a holistic level, it's going to improve the efficiency of your overall operation, overall building, warehouse. Next one is customer satisfaction. Some of the customers are, they are much more confident and comfortable uh, if you know what you're talking about. So, for example, if you're building some labor standards or something, right? Then you are going to follow a strict approach, a process which is being taught, right? Which is go on floor, do observations, and then come back and then do your data analysis and whatnot, right? So MTM studies, most time studies. So there is a standardized process around that. So customers are more comfortable as long as everything is being followed in the way it should be, uh, when it comes to, because everything impacts the budget, and no one wants to spend more money, right? Sustainability. So along with developing the solution, you need to make sure that it's sustainable as well on two different fronts. First one being consistency wise, like, it's delivering the value or the results in a consistent manner, as well as it's not hurting the business overall. So you can't develop a solution which will give you a value today, but it's going to make your overall organization look bad on a global level. Uh, all right. And then, there are so having an industrial engineer helps be on top of things. For example, your data analysis skills, uh, your in-depth understanding of concepts. They help once you integrate those things with what is needed in the industry or what is being done in the industry. They help the employers in supply chain essentially to be more competitive because most of the supply chain is essentially 3PL, right? And every 3PL is fighting for more business, so it helps them. So these are some of the things that we've talked about. All right, moving on to the next. What are the key components, like, on a daily basis? What would you be doing? Some of the things I do, some of the things I'm not involved in. You won't be doing everything either, right? But what are the things that typically happens in supply chain, in a warehouse, or a production facility? So first of all, maintaining a relationship with your suppliers, like we talked about, and then transportation optimization. So your route optimization models, you'd be constantly looking into that, and then deploying general lean and Six Sigma principles, uh, to improve and sustain the results. And in some cases, you would just, like, share some information with your colleagues as well. So you are nurturing them as well, uh, because industrial engineering is very, like, sort of generic as well in some cases. For example, if you just do Gamba walk, then it's just like, they have to just go on floor and walk the operation and see uh, what is being done and how it's being done. Um, but with a more focused mindset. Uh, so you can help your colleagues with that. And then you can help redesign layout uh, of the warehouse, like, what would be a more logical sequence of operation in the warehouse. So this is where you can use FlexSim and other simulation softwares. Uh, Process optimization in general, right? So looking at everything that is being done, identifying the scope of improvement, and then working through that. Risk management, like what we talked about. So we don't want to ship, uh, damaged product or the product that are expired and stuff like that. So risk management, your company image would come into place there as well. Uh, so looking at data, creating reports, or creating some tools that would help you identify these kind of things on a daily, weekly basis or monthly basis. Uh, Demand forecasting and production plans, they would do that, or at the corporate office as well. Uh, Inventory management. Uh, so like what we talked about, inventory, that's the heart and soul of the whole operation from end to end. So managing that, and then technology integration. So there are several different pieces of softwares, right? There are standalone systems, but when you integrate them, they give you the overall picture of your operation, what is happening, and what is the overall trend. Quality control, similar to risk management, but a more proactive approach. And there are several other things, right? So these are some of the things that we've talked about so far. Okay, moving on to the next. What are some of the skills that you would need, right? That's what we need to know. Uh, let's see. So first of all, you should have strong or stronger data analysis skills. Uh, Most of the 3PLs, like several 3PLs that I know of, they run on Microsoft Excel. Uh, some production plants also use just Microsoft Excel to develop solutions. Like, in some cases, their production schedules, uh, which is going to impact everything, right? So if their data analysis skills are not that good, they're not proficient enough, then it's going to create havoc on the rest of the supply chain. So if you have this, like, under your belt, perfect. Next, operations research. So looking at, since you're in school, uh, still you need to understand what is operations research. Every like not every several There are several types of them, right? In distribution centers or warehousing, you would have different type of operations that are happening versus in some other production environment. So you need to have that level of understanding and more familiarity as much as possible. Then process mapping, VSM. So once you are on board, regardless, you should know process mapping and how to do a VSM, or at least a working knowledge of that. Process mapping is not difficult. You can literally you can map anything, like, right, the process of just getting to college. You can map it out, uh, and all with all the decision nodes and everything. You could present that in an interview, right? Technology integration. So you should know how to do that. You should be a little bit advanced there because that is expected. Lean and Six Sigma principles. I know we read them throughout our degrees in the college. But beyond that, also just recommendation: go online, read more about those principles, the ones that are mostly being applicable in the industry, and then, if possible, doing some certification that are project based. And then financial acumen. So once you are in supply chain, you need to have at least a working knowledge of what is the impact of whatever you are doing for the company. Uh, so, for example, if you are solving a problem, how much money is going to save? So that kind of thing, right? Because you don't want to spend 1 month developing a project which is not going to save anything in terms of finances, or improving anything in any other context as well. Problem solving skills. So this is where uh, your Lean Six Sigma principles would also come in hand. Project management, because you would be doing that from your day one, because you're working with other stakeholders, you're collaborating with several people, internal and external. So you would be doing project management with or without a professional certificate. So a good opportunity to work on project management is through your college projects, right? Coordination wise, scheduling wise, and as much as possible. So just go through what are the skills required for project management and see how you can start implementing them right away in whatever you are doing. Adaptability. So, you know, you need to just learn new systems when you are on job as well, right? Uh, because there are several types of WMS, WMS being warehouse management systems. Conceptually, they may sound similar, but functionality wise, they may be different. Uh, so you need to have a better understanding of that. If possible, find online like what are the options available to you. If there are certificates available for WMSs, just go through them, or just learn about different types of WMS. What are the differences? What are the similarities? No one is going to expect you to know everything from your day one. Functional, cross-functional collaboration. So this is where, again, project management would come in place, right? Uh, and then customer experience as well. So when you're working with your colleagues, your classmates, making sure that you are not, you're giving good experience to, or you know to your teammates. You are delivering value. You are delivering the deliverables on time. Uh, Leadership skills. So once you work on all of these things, you're already a leader, right? In your field. So leadership skills develop along the way. And then there are some other things as well, so like attention to detail, communication, critical thinking. All of this is necessary because, so if you see, like, there are two different color tones here. The first one being hard skills. The second one are more softer side, right? So soft skills. So you need to have a combination of both. Uh, and once you have all of this, it'd be much more easier for you to get into business and start making decisions and changing stuff. All right. So what are some emerging trends in supply chain, right? And we can never forget this. These are two of the cases that are going to stay with me forever. The first one is from LA port that happened in 2021, well, 2019, right before COVID. Right when COVID hit, we didn't have enough items. We didn't have, several necessary products in the warehouses or on the shops. Because of this, several ships were stuck. They could not find docks where they can, unload all of these containers. So a lot of, billions and billions of dollars worth of products just got expired, uh, which eventually resulted in, increased prices for some of the items. And then this happened, right? This was prior to this, which was blockage of Suez Canal. Uh, and because of this also, this was just one pathway for several ships to go, to go through. And then this blocked, and then eventually it increased traveled for other ships, which eventually increased the prices for us uh, in the stores. So what do we need? What did we learn from that? Sustainability and resilience. We want to have sustainable yet resilient supply chains. Uh, and this is where industrial engineering helps a lot, because we design not just eco-friendly processes, uh, or we because of all of these learnings, we can develop mitigation plans or alternative plans as well. So essentially developing your contingency plan, right? So sustainable and resilient business. The next one is diversity, but yet centralized. Uh, so when you do business in different countries or different areas of the world, you would see different cultural, impact influences, and you need to be open to them, right? Yet you need to make sure that everything is being as standard as possible. So that's where diversity yet centralization comes into place. And this is where, we would centralize the things that are possible. So for example, if you are in, if you're doing technology integration, then why are you naming things differently in different country for the same WMS? It doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't do anything, so let's call it the same thing. All right. uh, but you need to hear from the other side as well, why they are different. So understanding why behind everything would help you either keep it diverse or centralize as much as possible. So supplier based diversity and then customer based diversification. uh, and then your digital transformation would come into, if it's possible to centralize or not, and then contingency. All right, so industrial engineering in warehousing, uh, where we have the majority of automation, right? So these are some of the softwares that we use. I use a couple of these. I've not used all of them yet, and then there are several more. Okay, these are the ones that I am familiar with. Uh, so let's talk about those softwares. What those are, right? ERP is you have heard of this? I know, Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP. So just being more familiar with this, understand what it is, what it does, and how it impacts the overall business. Uh, Put it on your resume. Why not? Same thing goes with WMS. So WMS is, where, in a warehouse, once you receive an order, where would it go? It would go on a WMS. And from there, it would allocate inventory. And then eventually you'll use LMS to allocate that work, uh, to gather, the entire pallet or whatever. You'd have somebody to do that. So you would manage that process through LMS. And you'd use all of these systems to track, where the inventory went, who took it, at what timestamp and whatnot. So you'll see all of this, at what time the product was moved from, a good status to a bad status, not consumable by human, animal feed or whatnot. Uh, so you can see all of these things along, on these systems. Uh, Next, your yard management system. There are several trailers, right, for inland transportation. Uh, you can't give one dock to every single trailer. Similar to what happened at LA port, right? They didn't have enough docks, so you don't have enough docks either in a warehouse. Uh, On an average, from big mixing center, distribution center, same thing, you'd have, probably from 50 to 100 or 150 doors. At the same time, you would have three, four, 500 trailers sitting in your yard. So you need to manage your yard properly, uh, so that you are not cluttering it. Eventually, it's going to delay the delivery of items to the stores. So you don't want that. TMS is Transportation Management System. So this is where you would manage when, who's scheduled to be at this door. Yes. Did you say something to that?
No, we're good on our end. We didn't say anything.
Okay. All right. Cool. Uh, so transportation management, through this, you would manage your trailers, who's supposed to come to which door at what time. So through this. And then warehouse control system. This is more applicable to, like, wherever you would see more automated warehouses. For example, you would see conveyor belts. I'm sure you have seen Amazon videos on, YouTube or somewhere, where, they have a lot of conveyor belts and whatnot. So this is how they make sure that those conveyor belts are running, and whatever is wrong with them, they handle it through these systems, warehouse control systems. All right. So automation in warehouse. Uh, Nowadays, several things are happening, and as per McKinsey, also the most automated place in the entire supply chain is the warehousing sector. There are AI, ML based tools already existing, not just a buzzword. For example, when a trailer checks in, uh, to be loaded at a warehouse, there are AI based tools. They would just read the number plates and they would schedule them, or they would check them in directly. So there are several tools that are already there. Several companies have been using them for several years. So some of those things. Okay, this is happening, right? You would see several companies now, not just Boston Dynamics, making robots that are actually, you know, doing some things in the warehouse, delivering values. So right here, these are locust bots, uh, from, I think it's from a DHL facility itself, where they're carrying, like, each single pieces where for the particular order, based upon the order. So collaborative robots. That's what they do. They improve safety, productivity, and then the way why they're being collaborative is because, they would work with an operator. They're not going to, grab 15 pieces of this or 10 pieces of that. Someone needs to put them here, and they'll just travel. ASRS, these are essentially, like, for efficient retrieval and storage of pallets, or like any type of items, uh, as long as it's applicable. This would allow you to consolidate a lot of rackings in the warehouse, have more utilization out of that, more faster operation, as long as, you are not doing case pick. So as long as you are not picking every single item, you can use this. In some areas as well, I've seen this being used, even if they are doing case pick. Okay, so what is the impact of all of this? Whatever we do as industrial engineers, what is the impact of that on, the budgeting or the finances of supply chain? Okay, so essentially we focus on cost reduction, efficiency improvement that directly ties with budgeting processes. What we do impacts the overall throughput of the building, which eventually impacts the overall uh, budget that is being allocated for the next year. Uh, So if the solution works, but if it's not sustainable, then probably you don't want to claim that for the next year either, right? Uh, so stuff like that. And then ROI. So whenever we integrate system technologies, or do any sort of project, right? To be honest with you, um, as long as it's delivering any sort of value, even if it's like in a couple of years, it's fine. We just need to be able to justify that using a business case with correct data in it. All right. So some key takeaways. It's an evolving business, right? Because Uh, we are seeing a lot more of robotics happening now. Several startups have come into play as well, uh, and several things are happening. But industrial engineering is going to use all of those things, is going to drive efficiency using that, is going to be more innovative. Uh, Yet we have to be sustainable. If we are not delivering sustainable results, then it's of no use, right? Uh, we need to know data analysis. We need to know Lean and Six Sigma tools, what they are, how to use them. We need to know all of that. We need to be upfront with technology, what we know and what we don't know. We need to learn that. Uh, you can just go on YouTube and search different types of WMS systems, or just Google it and then learn about them, right? So we need to learn more about those things. As along with all of this, we need to be more, you know, customer friendly, or have that mentality of a project manager, because you would be working in a collaborative environment. So managing through that is a challenge, but we have to do it, right? Because that's the entire supply chain collaboration. Uh, that's all I have. Any questions or anything?
Thank you, Mukul. That was a great presentation. There's a lot of insight. And we'll go ahead and open it for questions. We can, if anyone has questions in the audience, we can try to see if the microphone will pick it up. If not, I can help moderate with that. So thank you again, Mukul, and we'll go ahead and open for questions. Don't all jump up at once. So I have a question. I know you mentioned a lot of different types of softwares or different types of packages to know, such as like enterprise resource planning, um, and some of those other different skills to have. What would you say would be the most important ones to get experience with now while we have a chance in college to learn about new things?
So it depends upon, like, what area you're targeting, Durant. For example, if you are looking at warehousing, or supply chain logistics and warehousing, I would recommend looking into some of, let's see, there we go. So TMS, transportation management system, that is for logistics. So if you are doing route optimization, you like doing that, I would recommend, like, being more familiar with this. YMS is not going to be as much important as this to you in that case, right? But if you're looking at you know being in a more automated facility, then WMS and your WCS right here. WCS is, I would recommend, like, regardless, just know about those things. WCS, what type of WCS are out there? What are some certifications probably maybe available to just go through? Because no matter where you're working, if it's a production, if it's a warehousing, you would see automation now. So this is sort of harnessing automation.
Great, thanks. Okay, we have one more. Ethan?
Yes. Like
Oh.
to-
Mukul, can you hear Ethan? If you can't hear him during the question, let me know. We can fix it.
I can hear, but very, like, lightly. I don't hear him properly.
Okay, we'll try again.
Yeah, hi, Mikola. Thank you so much for your time today, and also dealing with some of our technical issues. But one thing that I was very curious about, and I'm pretty sure everyone else here too, was why did you decide to pursue your master's at Mississippi State?
So Mississippi State, like, when I went to Mississippi State, before going there, I was just looking for colleges, and Mississippi was one of the, like, top 25, 26 colleges at that point of time, Bagley College of Engineering. And then I looked through the program, what is it offering right now, what are the research interests of the professors, and what are the opportunities I'll get after that. So overall, it seemed a great opportunity.
Yes, so thank you so much. Any other questions?
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and end it here. If there are any other questions, Mukul, if you can hang out just for a couple minutes online, if anybody wants to come up and ask, not in front of everyone, that'd be great. And if you could put your QR code up again, I think it went kind of fast. I know people wanted to scan to connect with you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
Awesome. We give everybody a chance to get that contact information. Okay, everyone. So we'll be hanging out here for a few more minutes till maybe 1:45 or so, and then I have class. I think everybody else has got class, and we'll go from there. But if y'all have any other questions about Informs, or if you want to speak to McCool for a second, if he has time, you can come up. Thank you for everyone for coming and dealing with the technical problems. We'll be switching this next meeting we have to be an evening meeting, and we're going to go back to our actual building instead of this building because I think we have better luck with technology over there. So again, we apologize sincerely for the technical issues.